Leonard, how are you? Yeah, we're getting to the bitter end here. So today is October 27th. Hopefully, you guys are staying safe. Um, there's a lot to be thinking about. We got the election, we got pandemic, and now we got fires in Southern California. For those people in the Silverado Canyon, Irvine area, and Yorba Linda area, be safe. So, anyways, this is going to be a quickie. I actually dropped the ball a little bit, so this I should have done this lecture earlier. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what's going on here. And I wouldn't worry a whole lot about this lecture either, all right? And because I'm going to send out the next one that's going to get into the nuts and bolts about investing strategies. This particular week that just ended is coming up right here. So it's this one right here, the week 10 assignment. And it was the due yesterday, all right? I'm still going to get in there and do it. And so what we wanted to do is just it's kind of lengthy reading, and I'm going to give you the highlights. It's the ready or not. It's a kind of a historic look at whether or not cohorts of retirees are adequately prepared for retirement, and then it spells out what is needed to retire in a comfortable way. It starts getting into some of the calculations that you guys are going to maybe do as financial planners. Um, and then, as you saw in the discussion, we then asked you to look into Social Security. And Social Security is a really important thing for a lot of people, most people in this country. As we start going into the financial planning section and talking about a lot of the assets that people have, many people don't have assets, okay, that they can turn into income that they would use for their retirement. So they're very, very dependent on Social Security. And if you watch the video right here, they talk about 2/3 of the people in our country, Social Security is half their monthly income, and 1/3 it's their entire monthly income. And we saw last week, the tragedy that happens with that in terms of making ends meet, especially in a place like LA. Okay, so there's the point of these videos is to make you aware. So this is a really cool group that are constantly looking at social insurance and how important it is. This is a real important concept that I'm going to bring up for next week's lecture that's coming later on today. And it's just about, just keep working, stay engaged. It's better for your mental health, your physical health, and financial well-being. And so you can really bump up your Social Security. You can first qualify for Social Security at age 62. The quote unquote, full retirement age is 67. But the government incentivizes you to keep working and not draw from Social Security, so that if you can keep bringing in work income, you can bump your actual monthly Social Security paycheck by an additional 30% if you work all the way out till 70, meaning you don't draw on Social Security till age 70. And every month past 67.7 years, if you keep working, it will increase incrementally the amount that you will be able to draw. Just depends on how much longer you work, and the maximum is achieved at age 70. Similarly, if you start drawing at age 62, your Social Security monthly paycheck will be 30% less than what it would have been if you waited to age 67.7. Okay, so there's this incentive concept here. Alrighty, cool. So and Social Security hardly is enough money. Sorry, that's my alarm out there, my camera, the wind blowing, the Santa Anas. We learned that the out-of-pocket expenses, and you guys just finished up your critical thinking assignment looking at out-of-pocket expenses, and we see that roughly 50% of people's monthly ability to pay is going to be out-of-pocket expenses devoted to to healthcare costs. So that's a big deal. All right. So this is looking at the average out-of-pocket healthcare spending as a share of your Social Security income. Okay. Now, obviously, if I'm going to have more in Social Security, so it's going to be a lot more. But for those people, like I said, 2/3 it's half their income, and 1/3 it's all their income. That's a lot to deal with. Okay. Alrighty. So this is, like I said, the whole point of this publication is just kind of look at things historically. All right. So you click right here. Okay. You can also click right in here if you want to and get to it if you want to use the URL. So I'm just going straight to the PDF file that we listed there. Okay. So that's to go to Ready or Not, section 3, and that starts at page 50. I'm going to find myself page 50. Page 50. There it is right there. Okay, chapter 3. All right. So again, they talk about this health and retirement study right here. The HRS is what this is all about. It's very lengthy. Okay. So hopefully you guys can maybe use this on your own. And it talks about some stuff that seems probably pretty straightforward, but why do we need to do this? Okay. Are we ready? Okay. So we look at what is the composition. Okay. So like I said, for some people, this is all they have is Social Security. Luckily for people like me, I work for a large corporation. I have some different types of income. I don't have a pension. Okay. So what I have is a defined contribution. Pensions are referred to as a defined benefit, and you'll see it intermixed here. Okay, so they're referring to a pension and I don't like the way they do it. I like the defined benefit versus defined contribution. The defined benefit is what like a firefighter is going to get, congressmen are going to get. They have this pension system that the government will pay them, and it doesn't matter how much money they put into it. It's just about years' work. They get it. Okay. For me, I have a defined contribution, and it's all about how much money I put in to my accounts, and I could do something as simple as a money market and make no interest, or I can. We're going to learn later on next week that I like to put a little more risk into my investments, and so I do bundles of funds called mutual funds or index funds that are just large categories of companies in the stock market, and on average I make 8% return on my money. So, and it compounds, and that's an important thing that you're going to have to teach your clients. Okay. Private savings, okay, is the other part of what we have here, and that includes, my house and the equity in that. All right, so that's our three-legged stool right there. Okay, that people rely on. All right, and as a financial planner, you would be the expert, and then you would suggest that individuals should aim, okay, with these three sources of income that we indicated over here, that I should be, when I'm retiring, be able to replace it by about 85%. Okay, and in today's world, probably even more, only because people, housing is expensive. A lot of people churn their housing. Children are expensive. Kids are staying at home longer. So it's a different world right now, and that's not really reflected in this article either. Okay, so your job as a financial planner is to determine adequacy. Okay, and make sure that people have saved enough. So what you do is you look at projections on how long people are going to live. Okay, you look at person's health, and you also look at issues like are our children still dependent? Okay, their own personal dependency ratio. Do they have expenses for their parents? Things like that. Okay, because these are outgoing sources of income. Okay, um, and they're comparing cohorts. So again, this is the historic part right here. Okay, so we look at the median. That's of course you line up a million people, and it's that person right in the middle at 500,000, and we saw that this original cohort they looked at, they had about this much income ready to rock at the age of retirement, which would be 66.667. Okay, and that this is a median has expanded to this point right here. Okay, And then again, ask yourself, is that adequate for 30 years of retirement? So for some people, yes, but for some people, no. Okay. All righty. And so they go through this about this kind of you guys as financial planners will be doing kind of make up a replacement rate calculation, okay, and look at all the person's assets. And one thing they refer to in this article, they talk about annuities and annuitized income, okay, and versus non-annuitized income. We're going to learn about these annuities. What you do is you take your income, and it's an insurance policy. So you buy this policy from an insurance company, and then they guarantee a monthly income. You don't have any flexibility. There's a lot of fees, a lot of problems associated with that. If you have any type of confidence in your own investing ability, you would do non-annuitized, which is what I'm doing, which I just, I invest in real estate. I invest um, in the stock market, and then what you do is you just have to look at your monthly expenses, and we'll show you the spreadsheet that you guys would do, and make sure that you don't say overspend that money. The annuity won't let you overspend because it only gives you a monthly payment. Okay. All right. So these are the expenses that you would be talking about, okay, right here, that you would go over with your clients, okay, home-related expenses, okay, a mortgage, okay, property taxes, things like that, okay, insurance, household insurance, rent insurance, anything that's, the gardener, the pool guy, I'm the pool guy, okay, food expenses, health expenses. We did see here that in your most recent critical thinking assignment, how this can be up to 50% of the total income if you're only relying on Social Security. So that's a big deal. Transportation, clothing, on and on. You just do a spreadsheet on this. Okay. All right. So this, is a brief introduction into this composition of wealth that I was just talking about. Again, Social Security and the basics that we're all going to get. We'll go over what you need to do in terms of your work life to qualify for Social Security in the next lecture. The defined benefit, okay, is pension. Those are disappearing, okay, and this is where, again, this is a guaranteed income. Large corporations, like General Electric, Bank of America, they used to give out pensions where you were guaranteed this income, but they realized that was a bad business model because people live too long, as we learned, and so and the pensions that they guaranteed when people retired were too large, and so what they did is they said, we're going to take that responsibility off of our shoulders as a corporation, and we're going to put it on you, and you do what's not a defined benefit pension, but a defined contribution where I contribute to my I work for a big company, my 401k. If you work for a smaller company, then you do your own contributions to individual retirement accounts that we'll talk about. Okay. All righty. I know it seems complicated, but you guys will get this figured out. Okay. So what I have is called non-annuitized wealth and financial assets. Okay, so that's my 401k. That's my house. Okay, any other types of real estate that I have. Okay, so they talk about, and we'll go straight to the charts later on. Married people do better than single people, is what it is, and it's always been that way. Okay. And we're looking at, again, these two different cohorts in this particular study, okay? People men are not working longer, but women are, okay? So women are finding themselves working longer. Women outlive men, so that's a big issue, okay? All righty. So, why do we save? So you guys have just explained this to me in your most recent analysis of your CT1. Medical cost is a huge part of the financial hurdle you have to be able to deal with. All right. So, as financial planners, this is just a historical view. People are not very financially literate, and they talk about it right here. People don't get it. Okay. And this is like the simplest questions right here. Okay. This is about compound interest, and you'd be surprised how many people don't get this right here in terms of compound interest and how that 2% interest, that would be a crappy money market. Realistically, you should be shooting for 10% return on your savings. And if we just say it's every year, I had $100, so at the end of the first year, now it's 110 that's going to get the 10% interest, okay? And on and on and on. It just compounds, it gets bigger and bigger, okay? And it talks about inflation versus your the return on your investment. Are they matching? And people don't get this, okay? So that's what this is all about, and you guys are going to help people out right there. So some people are risk aversive, and that's what this is about right here. And they don't use investments that are going to give it the largest return. Some people just don't save. They can't do it. It's called hand to mouth, and that's what this is right here. Okay. All right. So, some people are lucky enough to have employer incentives. Okay. We have, like I said, we have these pension plans. Okay. And I like to call it defined contributions, okay? Because and that's what this is right here. DC stands for defined contribution. I don't like calling it a pension, okay? Because a defined benefit pension is the old school one that the government workers work, okay? You should obviously invest in this because good companies will match, okay? During the pandemic, we've lost our matching, which is, that's the way it goes. At least I have a job. Okay. Alrighty. So who's we're looking at your country right now, okay? And what percent of people have any type of coverage, whether it's a defined benefit like a government worker, okay, or a defined contribution like me, okay, where I'm putting money in, or you, whether it's an IRA or whatever, okay. And we see that only about, historically over this study right here, we're looking 92 to 2014, only 35% of the population have any income that they're going to be able to go on to readily grasp. Some people are just relying on the asset of their house that they'll churn out, okay? But do a reverse mortgage, whatever it is, but that's risky, okay? And we see right here that the red is the decline in the defined benefit that I was talking about. This is the guaranteed, and an increase you see in the yellow of the defined contribution. That's where I'm investing my money. So that's what's happening historically. Okay. Whoops, sorry guys. All right. Boop, 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 boop. And these charts are just showing you right here at the very end, single versus couples. Okay, so maybe not married. Okay, maybe you're a modern person. Okay, but if you're looking at a couple and you're looking at your total income, okay, that'd be return on investments or working income. You see that a couple does much better, okay, way out into their 80s, okay. We look at the total wealth. You see that people, there's strength in numbers, okay. The collective of the family, there's a lot more wealth by everything we talked about, okay. Wealth is a combination of the investments that I've done through my 401k, my real estate portfolio, stuff like that. And you see that it's much harder if you're single, okay? And then you look at that, all right, so there's a lot more income and wealth, obviously, when you have a couple, but there's not that big of a difference in terms of spending, all right? So that's the scary part, and that's why you need to behave and try and make it work as a couple. Okay. All right, so it's like a historical perspective, and then the one that I'm going to do later on today is really nuts and bolts of investing that I'm going to teach you guys how to be financial planners, okay, which is an awesome thing. All right, guys, so I'm going to end my show there. Peace.